This week, some huge changes for the game industry. First for Magic the Gathering, the card game, and then for the board game industry as a whole.
And our topic of the week, collectible card games. What's good about them, what's bad, and what's their future look like? All that and more. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this is the Roll for Crit podcast.
So, in terms of stories, we don't have that many. However, the stories we have are huge.
We should say we were filming a little earlier than we normally do, so our scheduling is off balance, but, as you said, big news.
Yeah. To start us off, Magic the Gathering. For those who have played the game, they usually come in blocks, which usually come with 3 little sets in each block. And they release these at certain time periods, and because of that, the gameplay changes for the standard tournament style. They're changing that up now. First off, they're only releasing 2 sets a block, so we get less cards in a block. But that means we're getting more blocks now, because they're going to release them at quicker intervals. Also, the core set, which used to be sort of like, it didn't really have a story. It was just one set released, and like you got your generic cards in there. Like you usually saw many reprints from other core sets because it was like where beginners would jump in. They decided that that wasn't really useful. Like, if they can get the keywords from those, they can probably get them from the set. So they are actually cutting that out completely. Next year will be the last time a core set comes across. So for what this means for many of you, if you play Magic, means you're going to see more worlds. For those who play Standard, it means what cards are allowed in Standard play are going to rotate out more. So you're going to get a much different Standard play style.
So some of this, to me, as a non-Magic player, sounds like gibberish. Blocks and sets like a Dr. Seuss book or something. But I did read the post that they made on Wizards of the Coast announcing this. I actually thought it was very interesting, even as someone who didn't play it, just to hear they actually went into the details about why they made these changes.
Like I said, for them, they realized they got a lot of people excited when they really recently. I can't remember how long ago it was. They went back to 2 planes. Ravnica and Mirrodin, both very popular planes, and people loved the return to those planes. And they're like, we should do more of these. Problem is, they only go through 2 blocks a year, almost, or something like that. So like revisiting those planes takes a huge chunk of time out the developers when they want to visit something new. So this way you can go back to some of these worlds, but still introduce new ones as well.
So do you view this as largely a positive change?
Well, I'm not a Standard player. I should say that first. For those who are Standard players, this sucks.
So Standard is like tournament play?
Yes. Well, each form usually has tournaments, but Standard's the main one.
Okay.
And like that's where a lot more the prize money. I think
it's more of a formal as opposed to just playing with your friends. At home.
And the way it works is usually the most recent 2 blocks or so. You can use cards from that. What this means is those cards you can use are going to rotate out quicker, which means it's going to become more expensive to stay in there with a deck. But one of the reasons they're doing this is because when Magic first started, the Standard play style, it used to be like, what's the winning deck? You don't really know for a long time. But now, with internet, iPhones, smartphones, everyone's like, all right, 2 days in, all right, this is the winning combo deck, and everyone has it. I mean, I remember this happened. There was a big Planeswalker. Jace Berlin had this forecasting card, which was huge. They banned it from Standard because the top 8 decks were the exact same deck, like changing maybe 1 or 2 cards. And he was like the main, him had 4 cards as well as some others. So they banned him to try to stop that. But really, that's what happens a lot. There's usually 1 or 2 decks that become top.
So now basically when it doesn't matter as much if something's overpowered because it'll be gone sooner.
Yeah. So but unfortunately, it also means if you're Standard, you're gonna have to buy more cards and kick out more cards. However, it is possible. I don't know how this is gonna affect actual single prices, but maybe because since they rotate out quicker, they're not as valuable, so they'll drop in price then as well.
Interesting.
This is all for Standard, as I'm saying.
Right.
My main form is Commander or EDH as it used to be. So for me, it's more of a win because I'm just getting more cards from different worlds. And I also want to revisit a world which no one else wants to go to. So,
which one is that?
Kamigawa.
I love Kamigawa.
Most of the cards in there were actually really bad, but I love the story and the environment. And they did have one mechanic that was amazing, which they didn't introduce into the last set of the block, or like last two, but hopefully they can revisit that and bring that mechanic back.
And this starts rolling out in 2015.
Yeah, that's
fall, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
So there's still one more
regular... so like the set that's coming out now, well, when we're showing this video, shooting it, the Khan block, I don't know.
Khans of Tarkir,
yes, thank
I believe.
That is still 3. You don't have to worry about that getting affected at all. But we'll see what happens in the future of Magic. This definitely is going to change up how Standard's played. A lot of people might be moving over to Modern, which is another game style, which means those cards are going to jump up in price, though. So, like, single price, we're going to see a big fluctuation there. We're going to see how they handle going to different planes. Without the core set, that's another thing. It's a little bit sad because, there's some cards you always see reprinted. So it's like those ones you saw when you first started playing Magic. Like, for me, it was Shivan Dragon. It's a simple dragon, it's nothing huge or special.
But it's nostalgic.
Yeah. So it's a little sad to see that go away. But maybe that means we're going to revisit that plane. It'll actually have more of a story going on there instead of just the generic. So I don't know. Part of me misses it, but at the same time, part of you is always going to hate change.
Right. And this, it's definitely a huge deal. I don't know how long they've been doing this system, but it's been years and years, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, because it used to be Magic 7th edition, then they changed it to the core set. But really, it's the same idea. It's the starting jump.
So, I applaud Wizards of the Coast for being bold enough to make such a big change at the risk of alienating their customers.
A lot of people are really mad about it. A lot of the standard players, I should say, are really mad about it.
Yeah.
But, everyone's always mad right off the bat when you announce something.
Right.
We'll see how it goes. Once again, I'm really curious to see how single prices fluctuate. It really is funny with Magic cards. It's like a stock market now.
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't even realize how many there were released each year. It seems like more than I thought. Like 3 blocks? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of cards. And if you think about it, that's why it makes it interesting.
But
we'll see. Yeah. I'm gonna keep playing it because I am addicted to it, and I've invested too much now.
Right. And maybe you will at home as well.
But that's we'll see what Magic holds. Maybe they'll even go back. We don't know. They may be like, oh crap, we don't like this. We're going back.
After 1 year, maybe the experiment will fail.
But I think it's still fine though.
Yeah.
It won't ruin them. Magic's big enough that they'll still...
Right. There's not much they could do that would ruin them. It would be very difficult. They would have to really try. But anyway, that's one gigantic story down. Another gigantic story, both of these broke on the same day. Apparently, I don't know why I said apparently. It's as if it wasn't confirmed.
No, this is quite true.
The company Asmodee, you may have heard of them. They are a big board game publisher based out of France. They do lots of games such as Formula D, Dixit, Seven Wonders, and as well as they have deals with many other publishers where you may not see their name on the box, but they work with those publishers and put their games out overseas or elsewhere. Cyclades is one of those that they're also involved with. Lots of games, big games from them. Well, they purchased another one of perhaps even bigger, I don't know in terms of how much they're worth, but in my mind, I think even bigger game company, which is Days of Wonder. Of course, famous for 2 of the biggest, most popular games out there, Ticket to Ride and Small World, as well as some others. So Days of Wonder and Asmodee are now one company. So far, we don't have a lot of details. We don't know how much they paid for them or anything like that. Supposedly, Days of Wonder will still operate as its own entity, at least for the time being. The current heads of Days of Wonder are going to be there for a while to kind of transition them. However, I think they might be leaving after that. So it remains to be seen how that will change anything. I know because Days of Wonder is sort of famous for, they don't put out too many games each year. They tend to have smaller releases with more focus on the quality of the individual games. Whereas Asmodee is much bigger. They have their hands on a lot more pies. So we'll see if there's any kind of change in that philosophy. But this is definitely a big. I mean, nobody I don't think saw this coming. It's not the kind of thing that, like in the computer industry or video game industry, it seems like you hear a lot more about companies buying each other up and merging. I can't, to my knowledge, I don't know of any big board game purchases like this ever happening before.
Well, I'm curious because I haven't heard anything, but have you heard anyone talking when they're complaining about this? Because I know, like you mentioned, with video games, I'm sure if we heard one company buy another, you always hear like, well, that's it, this game's going to stink now, or, oh my God, how could they ruin said franchise?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's like Square Enix and Sega and whatever when that stuff happened. Yeah, I haven't heard too many. I think there's definitely some concern that, I hope this doesn't potentially ruin anything between the other companies, especially Days of Wonder, because they really are sort of a beloved kind of, especially, just their games have such care put into them. But I think most people are fairly, just, oh, that's weird. But
well, what I think is what I'm also curious about is how tournaments will be handled. If you recall, on our last podcast, we talked about the guy who won 7 games of Ticket to Ride in a row.
Yeah.
And they're going to Paris for a big, tournament. Are those going to happen?
Well,
will the prizes be worth more?
It's funny you mentioned that, because actually Asmodee already was the publisher for Days of Wonder in Europe and other countries. So they already had some kind of relationship. So maybe that won't be as affected as much. This could have been in the works for a long time. Who knows? But it is, because Days of Wonder is much more North American focused, whereas Asmodee has a bigger presence in Europe. So
I guess one of the reasons why I'm sort of concerned but not really as worried is in my head, like maybe because they're more European company. Thank you. Wow, I can't believe I just blanked on that. I haven't heard like really many bad things about it. It's not like they've cornered the market by these two merging. Like for example, with like not name two companies, but like that pretty much own that they're the only two real companies, and they merging together. Well,
I was like, I was thinking of like probably two of the biggest companies. I mean, I would have said these two are two of the biggest companies, but even more so, it's like Fantasy Flight or Z-Man. Mm-hmm. If any of those like ever merged together, I mean, it would be even more enormous. This is, I think, like you said, a little. We don't really know as much about the inner workings of them, but.
And I mean, I think a big thing for a lot. This goes more to, I guess, people who sell the games is it's not big with this people, but like there are certain companies that only go through certain distributors.
That's true, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure these two are not. Neither of them have any deals.
No, Days of Wonder is.
Days of Wonder is.
Yeah, they're exclusive.
Oh, yeah. So that's. I wonder if they're going to lose that or whether the other one's signing up for it. Because I know that's a big thing. That means it's much harder for a lot of people to get the games.
Right. I wonder if that's true, and maybe even. It might also help. Another thing is Days of Wonder is really good with their digital versions of games too. Digital Ticket to Ride and Small World are big apps.
So maybe we'll see more digital games coming out.
Yeah, see more of that from Asmodee. Maybe, there's all kinds of things that could happen. My genuine guess is that we probably won't even notice a difference. It's probably going to be all behind the scenes. Maybe they get a little extra support. Maybe they put a few more releases here and there or something like that. But I'm guessing, maybe being optimistic, but overall, I don't think it's going to cause a huge impact anywhere.
So like, we have this big story. Overall, nothing's going to happen to mine.
Exactly. Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, I feel like we're going to see more, like not recent, like right up the bat, we're going to see a lot of changes. But down the road, I feel like we're going to go one or two. Like we're either going to see like them take a lot from Days of Wonder and bring it into their own games, or maybe we'll see less of the Days of Wonder stuff and they just have the developers work on their own versions of games. I mean,
yeah, you could be right.
That's usually.
We might 5 years from now look back and not realize it at the time, but to see, oh yeah, this is a little very different from what it was back.
5 years from back, we look at you like, why did you say nothing was going to happen?
What a fool I was when we're living in like a dystopian society where Asmodee rules everyone. Yeah, maybe they'll have some crossover games. Maybe Ticket to Ride and Formula D where you're racing trains.
Yeah, I mean, I guess actually I could think of some other board game companies actually would be more worried about them getting licenses for.
Yeah. But I think this is it's definitely interesting. It's definitely a big deal. But I think from the consumer standpoint at least, probably not much will change.
Right. I mean, we'll see what comes up. I think it's definitely we're not going to see the changes right away. That's the worrisome thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's not something where we can easily be like, oh, we know what's going to happen now. We're like,
and we even have 5 Tribes is scheduled to come out soon from Days of Wonder. So who knows? I don't know what will happen with that. If they'll keep the Days of Wonder branding, they probably will because it's pretty valuable. But perhaps over time they'll even phase it out and just.
Well, maybe what they also could do is, I think it was Fox who did this. Like they made a small studio like the Fox Indie or something. I think
like for their movies.
Yeah, like something like that. So it's like Days of Wonder. These are the Days of Wonder games. Like,
right.
We like. You only get this logo if you work on this special studio, which is branding, and
it's like the Pixar of
yes, like that. So something like it is part of Asmodee, but like it has that special stamp, which makes it rare and like, ooh, I want this copy of it. Yeah. Which made me think now if you got 5 Tribes, it's probably like at Gen Con, it's like having that exclusive before they were taken over.
Of course, Asmodee makes great games too. It's neither company is a slouch.
Oh, that's the thing. It's like we're not. Yeah. It's like when Disney got Star Wars, we're sort of like. Yeah. It's not like it's not the worst thing that can happen. I mean,
although some people think it was, but that's a whole.
That's a whole nother. Yeah. I mean, yes, it could have been bad, but like it's not like something we're scared of right off the bat.
Yeah, Asmodee isn't some like. It's not like when Facebook bought Oculus Rift. I know you were sort of ambivalent about this, but
no, I could see it going both ways.
But that Facebook is more of that like has that reputation of almost being like a
the
evil
giant.
Corporation.
Yeah,
Asmodee's not that.
Yeah,
it's not Microsoft. It's not whatever. So anyway, those are our 2 gigantic news stories of the week. All we have, but that was really all we needed.
I mean, we'd love to hear your opinions though. And like, what do you think about the Magic sets? How you think prices are going to change with Magic, Asmodee, and Days of Wonder? Do you think it'll ruin their games? Do you think it'll make it better? Yeah. Do you think that nothing's going to change, like Jonathan said?
Definitely comment on the video. We'll give you all the contact details at the end of the show as well. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what other people think.
Yeah, no, these are definitely things I think that should be discussed.
Absolutely.
But for now, I think it's time for the Kickstarter Pickstarter. All right, I'm starting us off, and for my pick is Paleon. Now, you may have seen this before if you've browsed Kickstarter. They actually redid their Kickstarter because they found there were some pricing issues, and they fixed it. So this game is made by Awesome Japan. It actually is a Japanese game, and they're trying to bring it over here in other languages. English as far as I know, but maybe more. The game itself is pretty much you're traveling in time and you're trying to capture the dinosaurs or other prehistoric creatures, which excites me because there's more than just dinosaurs. But you have to guess the right time period to capture them, and they're trying to keep it actually really scientifically correct, which is also really cool. It reminds me a lot of Steve Jackson's game Dino Hunt, which I'm really angry about. I only have the base set. They actually had packs of cards so you can get more dinosaurs and stuff.
That game's out of print.
Yeah. No, I've tried searching everywhere for the other cards. I haven't found anything.
So this could be your savior.
Yes.
Game.
Well, and another big thing is the game itself. Right now, it just started from when we're filming. It started the day before, and there's a lot of early birds out. For the base game, it's $16. That includes the $5, according to the $5 shipping of the game. So that's a pretty good deal and especially if you like dinosaur stuff. The artwork's cool. It's a really cool 3D artwork for all the dinosaurs, the mammals, the beasts that come before. I mean, if you like
beasts that come before.
Yes, I like. But so if you're into any kind of like more of a science, you get your science in your games, or you just like ancient creatures, dinosaurs, whatever floats your boat. I'm more of a dinosaur, but I can do with anything that's extinct. This is definitely a game to look into.
You just love stuff that's extinct. While it's alive, you're like, who cares? But
No. As soon as I like it when after you can't get it. As soon as Jurassic Park happens, I'm done. I don't care about dinosaurs.
If armadillos go extinct tomorrow, you're gonna be like, oh man.
Oh no, those are already cool. They're like little armored cute balls.
Right, I picked a bad.
Yeah, you chose a horrible.
Well, anyways, that sounds cool. That's Paleon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My Kickstarter pick this week is a really unique one. Mm-hmm. It is Jane Austen's Matchmaker from designer Richard Wolfric Galland. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And this one is just odd and interesting game. I had to pick it. Basically, it is based on the written works of Jane Austen, in case you can figure that out from the title. And you have all the characters from a bunch of the different novels, Pride and Prejudice, what have you. I only know them from the film versions, of course, because I am stupid. But all those characters that maybe you love or don't are in there, and the idea is to try and get, if you'll have lord, no, I'm thinking a different game. You'll have gentlemen and ladies cards, and if you have a gentleman card, you want to propose to the other player's ladies, and if you have a lady, vice versa, you want to get matched up with a good gentleman.
Well, the ladies are out in front, I believe. So you have the guys in hand, and the ladies are friends. So you see their ladies, and like, I want this one to marry this lady. Oh, by the way, you have to make sure they cannot be related.
Right, that's a big no-no. And each card has different values in terms of how much money they're worth, how nice they are. At the end of the day, it sounds like it's basically is a number matching up and comparison game. But with that theme on top, I just think it's a really neat and unique idea to base a game on that. So that's why I really think it's a cool idea. You can get it. It is from the UK, so it's £15, but I believe it's £20 if you're not in the UK, which is not so bad. And this is cool too. For £250, the artist of the game will draw a portrait of you and your significant other. So you could have a custom piece of artwork in the style of Jane Austen.
I just imagine him making the values though, and you just get the card, and your card's terrible.
I don't think it's a card. I think it's just a portrait.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant it was a card because that'd be hilarious. All right, got me. I don't have any money or charm.
I think we should do it. Tell them we're.
But
friends. Didn't like that idea. So that's Jane Austen's Matchmaker.
I mean, I guess I'd be curious to see how if it gets big enough, maybe he can do other books, other characters. And then whether he brings in, the same-sex relationship, because that's a whole new boat. We bring that in. Like, in response, my guy wants to marry your guy instead.
I don't think too much of that goes on in traditional classic British novels.
Yes, not likely.
But at any rate, that's our Kickstarter picks. You can check them out. Links below. See if you want to back them. If you don't, you can just keep watching.
You always can. I should note, I mentioned this
yes.
a while ago. I mentioned the Secrets of the Lost Temple. Had a tomb. Sorry, I always mix up temple. I'm doing terrible with words today. Had a Kickstarter for figurines. It didn't get back, but then they realized they found a lot easier and cheaper way to do it. So they made a new one, which is already funded. I think it's almost already at the last Kickstarter stretch goal, which means you're getting all the figures. And you can also back it again to get, the base game and all those, the actual fun game itself. So that's a cool, once again, looks like a great game. They were at Gen Con, so it was really awesome. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to play their game. I mean, luckily I backed it, so I'll be playing the game when it comes out, but I still hate I didn't get a chance to.
You're set.
We were running around too much Gen Con. It was hard to get. There's so much to do there.
There's so much to do.
But take a look at that. If you want to back that game, you can just back a little bit to help them reach that goal, or if you want to get the game, if you haven't yet, or if you want to upgrade to the highest level, they have a level for that too. So that's something also to look into.
Check it all out. Our links below. Until then, it's time for our topic of the week.
Now, if you've been playing any kind of games, even video games for long, you've probably come across this. You go into a store and you look on a shelf and there's little packets. Inside these packets are cards. These are collectible trading cards, and they are extremely addicting. I've been getting into these since I was little, with Pokemon and Magic that both started really around the time I was ready to actually get into more complicated games. And it was just that excitement of getting these packs and all these new games, and you never had the entire set.
Right. That's the addictive nature of it, collecting them all. So I like that you started with as a kid, because I think these are great games that a lot of people start off with, especially as kids. Obviously Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh are the huge ones. But I know when I was a kid, I remember when of course Pokemon was a craze all to itself, but the starter set, when they first released that, and they had special events all over the place to go and get it, like at malls and things. Mm-hmm. And I still remember just the fever in my brain of how exciting it was to get those cards. And especially, it's also great because as a kid, when all your friends play it and you're trading and everything.
It really brings a dynamic for you to all interact with each other because you all come at a different angle off usually because especially if you're new, you're all looking at these whole sets of cards. You can't put all of them in your deck.
Right.
So depending on how the game works, you're like, okay, I really like for Pokemon. I remember my favorite deck was actually a water fighting deck. I don't know whether that's good or not, but partly because I really like Blastoise, so I had to make sure he was in my deck. And like it was just so fun making the deck, and we were playing with it. And I remember also when I was first introduced to it, like my friend got 1 pack of Pokemon, so we're trying to play the game with that 1 pack.
Oh yeah.
And it was sort of interesting just seeing how interacting. You're wondering, oh, how does this work out?
I did the exact same thing when I first had a booster pack, and I didn't know what the rules were. I just ended up kind of like playing war with them.
Yeah, no, it's just like that. And same thing with Magic. I mean, I collected that, and the artwork just amazed me. I was so excited. I'm like, I only have this many cards. I know there's so many more. I want to be able to play with all these different amazing things. It was just, and getting these packs, it was pretty much like Christmas for me again. You're getting a present.
So what makes it so what is it about collectible card games that has them stand from childhood to our adulthood? Because all ages play these games. I mean, if you go to your Magic night on Friday night at a comic store or whatever, you're going to probably see 7-year-old kids and 50-year-old dudes.
Oh yeah, no question. The ages will range completely, and
which is rare for not so. There are a decent number of board games that have that range, but definitely.
Well, what's different is it happens every night.
Yeah.
There is Friday Night Magic.
Right.
But like looking at these trading card games, you're looking and you build these decks and you just want to play with other people so much more. And what happens is they always release more. It's like Christmas. Like I keep using Christmas as an example, which is because
that's how much we love Christmas.
Well, it's the holiday, I suppose. But whatever holiday that gives presents, it's like as if you keep getting that over and over and over. You always get more presents. Granted, you're paying for them a lot, but it's just exciting to have your set and have all these cards. And then trading them's like, I didn't like this, but now I can really get that awesome Leviathan or that awesome Charizard. Which, of course, that was another big thing. When Pokemon started, that hidden gem, that everyone was after. I actually opened that in my 3rd Pokemon pack I ever opened. The excitement, I still remember it. Because this was back when I actually lived in California. I wanted to call my friends, and my mom's like, it's like 5 in the morning there because I got this in the morning. I forgot how I got it, but I remember opening it. I'm like, but I need to tell them I got the Charizard.
Yeah, I am envious still because that was just the holy grail.
Yeah, that was the holy grail when Pokemon came out.
And I also remember making some bad trades that I regretted as a kid that were like,
oh no,
being a stupid kid, and also Pokemon cards like being banned from schools.
No, I mean I've heard stories of people losing their collections because people stole them.
That happened to me.
And you were probably the one here too?
Maybe it was. When I was in elementary school, I was a kid. Some of them were gone. I was like, that's not good. But I know that was like a whole... I don't even know. They were just... I guess kids were distracted by them. Teachers, what do they know? But are any other... So Pokemon and Magic, were you ever a Yu-Gi-Oh player?
I wasn't really, because I think I stopped playing Magic. Like I played Pokemon, then into Magic. Then I stopped right around 5th and 6th grade. Then I went back into Magic again. I haven't stopped... I pretty much went back in from 7th to 8th grade, stopped again because no one was around me playing. But then finally in college I got into it because I got friends and I haven't stopped then.
Yeah, I feel like if Pokemon was like my elementary school and middle school, everyone I knew was playing Magic all the time.
Yeah, but I never got... Like, nothing against Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Though I think what's interesting is, which shows the power of these, we've mentioned Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right.
These are not the only trading card games. These are just the ones who have stood the test of time.
I know you're saying Firefly and Alien. I had a Harry Potter.
Actually, that was in the first take.
Just off camera, he said that to me earlier. Don't worry about it. But there's the Harry Potter starter.
I remember that.
I had the starter set for that. Nothing else.
I know one that I got into every single one except the recent Digimon, because I love Digimon.
I actually don't even know if I was consciously aware there was a trading card game of Digimon.
Each game has its reasons why they fail. Digimon in particular, for me, they didn't have a good actual game mechanic. Like Pokemon was fun to play. Magic is great. I mean, look at how many games use the mechanics from Magic with different words like flooping. It just didn't need. They went through at least at least 4, I want to say. And I haven't played the most recent one, mostly because it's based on the new season, and I'm really against it. But like, it didn't really have that fun wanting to challenge other people that the other ones did.
And I think you're hitting on one of the hardest things about introducing new trading card games, which is just making it different enough while still familiar for people to want to buy it, because so many really do just feel like magic.
And also fun.
Well,
like I said, like one of the Digimons was literally rock, paper, scissors. Like, it didn't even matter if you brought your guy to the Mega Form. He could lose to a little rookie. It's like, well, I mean, why?
But I mean, even Pokemon and even Dice Masters, they're all pretty much in the same ballpark. I don't know if that's just the nature of the beast, that's what a collectible card game is, or if people are just that resistant to change.
Well, speaking, like we've said 100 times, what are your views on how so many properties get a quick train card game that lasts for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If it's gonna, they see what happened with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, and they say, oh, why not our thing too? And most of the time, I don't have a problem with it because it's sort of it governs itself. If it doesn't sell, it doesn't sell.
Right. Oh, I mean, there's some of them that I really wish I got more. Like I mentioned, Digimon that did bad, but I collected. Alien and Predator had one, which I got mostly, I think, by the time it ended, unfortunately, because I was obsessed with those. But it's nice to see some of them come up. I think an interesting one one of the ones that lasted, actually, Yu-Gi-Oh, because the manga itself started off not as a card game. It was really the main character, Yugi, made the puzzle, and he actually challenged people to these challenges. It was actually pretty dark. Like, he set a guy on fire and stuff.
I remember reading some of those in Shonen Jump magazine.
Yeah, no, I really liked them. And it was sort of funny how it started off as a manga, not about the card game. They made the card game, and then I feel like the manga was now about the card game. So this weird circle of, like, which one influenced which.
I will say, when I was... at one point, I did collect only one type of Yu-Gi-Oh card, which was the Beaver Warrior, just because I thought it was funny.
You like the Bidoofs of
I had 3 or 4 of those.
Oh, that reminds me of another thing that I liked with Yu-Gi-Oh does, or at least did, I don't know if they're still doing it, is digital versions. Now, what's great and bad at the same time with these, so what's great is, like, for Yu-Gi-Oh, I paid, let's say a game was, like, I think $30 for the Game Boy Advance game or something. Mm-hmm. And I got pretty much most of the cards there, and which was great. What's bad is, if you're the company that makes the cards, people are just going to get that. Yeah,
that's a whole other thing, is like digital, because there's also the Pokemon version for Game Boy.
Right, Magic Online did that. But what they do, which is one of the reasons why I don't do it, is you are still buying packs. You actually pay real money to buy packs and the cards. So.
And of course Hearthstone, which we've talked about, which definitely, I think, hey, it's a smart way to go, and I think also a great way to get new players.
Well, it's nice that you don't have, like, shelves upon shelves of all your packs.
Right. But of course, you can't, like, go to a tournament or a comic shop.
Well, they have online tournaments, but once again, that's why I haven't gotten to Magic Online, because I'm like, I'm already in the physical one. I don't want to pay packs.
Yeah, I feel like you pick one or the other generally.
Like, that's what's different about the Yu-Gi-Oh one. Like, you weren't really buying the cards. You're just playing a little game. You got to, it's fun to play against Kaiba and stuff. Even though I didn't collect the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so, like, I got the Game Boy game. Mostly because Magic didn't have one. I'm like, well, Yu-Gi-Oh has one. I'll try it out.
So, stuff that we love about collectible card games, they're addictive. They're fun to get new ones. Fun to customize your deck. Although for me, that's sometimes a barrier. I think I've said this to you before, that usually sometimes I find it intimidating. Like, even with Hearthstone, which I just started, is a newer one. Just the sheer combinations you can make. Sometimes it makes me anxious about, oh my god, I don't know which ones are the best ones, and I know you keep trying. That's just
trust me. I've made some of the shittiest Magic cards decks ever, mostly because I misread a card.
That sounds like a fun story.
And it's not really a good one.
Okay, really don't tell it. But of course, that's one of the big appeals as well. But things that some negatives we talked about in our Dice Masters episode, it helps a lot to know people who play the game or have a comic shop.
No, like I said, I've gotten to Magic 3 times, and the first 2 times really stopped because there was no one really playing Magic with me, and it's not really fun to have a deck and not know one to play it with.
Yeah,
I mean, probably the same thing with a board game.
Yeah, which is like same thing. Like, why did I stop playing Pokemon? Because as kids grew up, we stopped playing it, and it just. Why am I playing this? No one's there to play against.
I mean, maybe this can happen again with Magic. Who knows? But Another big thing, which is particular, I know this more with Magic, I know it's with the other ones as well, is singles. Now, let's say you open a pack, you get a good card. Like most people, you can make money off of it. And instead, you sell it for a very high price. So instead of paying, and which is nice in some ways, because then be like, instead of constantly paying a bunch of $3 until I get that one card, I can pay whatever the price is, like maybe $5. Unfortunately, some of these cards are a bit more. Right. Older cards in particular, good luck getting them. There's for example, to go with extremes, the Black Lotus of Magic the Gathering from the original set, I believe last one sold for over like near 10,000, I want to say. No, these cards are amazing expensive. And as we said earlier in our show, Standard, I mentioned that one Planeswalker who got banned. Mm-hmm. This was a new card, not an old one. So you can get packs of him. Was selling for from $50 to $100 for one card, and people were getting playsets of 4 in their deck.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I mean it really sucks because you might be like, yeah, I want to use these cool cards, but
it does sort of defeat the whole idea of the randomized packs. It's sort of, which it's almost like it's a weird thing because that's such a big draw of the game, yet everyone is trying to avoid it completely.
No, what actually happens now with me with Magic is I'll get a few packs of the first set, whatever, when the set comes out. They usually have fat packs that come. It's really cool. Come with a 20-sided die and 8 packs. 8 packs? I think 8 packs in a box. So great deal. But then after that, I probably won't get packs as much. I just wait for the singles to come out, unless there's one card I know I want and I know is going to be $50.
Right. Yeah.
But that's a big issue for me, which sucks. I mean, I don't know how the other card games deal with it. Like I said, I mostly keep track of Magic.
Right. And of course, it's the randomization. Of course, can be a deterrent because, like we just were saying, you don't know what you're getting. You have to spend a lot of money potentially. Definitely a money sink. Also a time sink.
Which, speaking of money sink, if you choose one card game, you're probably stuck on that one card game.
Right.
Which is another reason why it's hard for new card games to come out.
Right.
If you haven't been listening, I've been saying I play Magic only, Magic only, Magic only. There's a reason for that.
So my question is...
It's amazing I can play all these board games and buy them while also doing Magic.
Do you think... I mean, how... Is anything ever going to dethrone Magic or even Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon?
I really don't think. I think those 3 card games are in it for good. Dice Master... Oh, actually, no, I take that back. There is something that might challenge them. But
is it Dice Masters?
No, it's not Dice Masters exactly. But Dice Masters has a challenge because it's actually the physical die. And unlike those card games, getting a common still helps you because it's getting the die for that character.
Differentiates itself in that way.
But a big thing, the challenge of all trading card games, is the living card game or expandable card game style. As we said, the randomness sucks, as well as trying to get all those for a play set of your cards, usually through singles, which can be unbelievably expensive. Expandable and living card games, I'm saying both because one's copyrighted.
Just call them living card games.
Cancels those out. You get the entire play set. Mm-hmm. So you still get the building of the decks and all the cool cards and stuff, but you don't have to...
It is definitely the best of both worlds. Although, again, for me personally, I still get intimidated by it because they still release a ton of those cards. So even though
it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I mean, it's an improvement because it's not random, but it still is a time and money sink.
So I think that's gonna, as more and more becoming popular, like we just saw Doomtown. So we're starting to see other companies besides Fantasy Flight who owns living card game.
And Doomtown actually was a CCG.
Right.
That they're actually converting to an LCG, which is, well, I mean, imagine maybe someday Magic will be rebooted as
That'd be
an
really
LCG.
Weird. But that reminds me of the Card Wars, the Adventure Time card game, was rumored to be an LCG.
Right.
Then they decided to do packs, which a lot of people got angry about.
Random packs, yeah.
Which is because, and as I'm sure I've said on the show before, I'm not as big of a fan as when I first got it.
But so that is one. I think the answer to competing with Magic is sort of if you have a property that's good enough. Like Adventure Time seems to be holding its own right now.
Well, it just started. I don't think they've made a recent set yet, a new expansion yet. So.
True. And I was just thinking of like something similar to Pokemon. Like if they made like a Skylanders or something like that. You know, something that was like huge with kids, and they made it went full out.
Well,
could have a chance.
Once again, I think the biggest thing to rival against Magic is to make it so your price is you're at a good price, and that's what living card games do.
Yeah.
What's also interesting, as I mentioned, Japanese cards, I know in particular this language, are more expensive here in America. And American foiled cards are more expensive in Japan. So apparently some people come here to trade their Japanese cards for American cards, then bring them back and sell them there at a profit.
Huh. I have some Italian Pokemon cards. Are those worth anything?
They might be. It's really interesting, like finishing singles. They really are their own market now. It's like a stock market. Yeah. You can see like certain cards go up and down. Like I said with Magic, I don't know how singles and modern cards are going to change in price.
Yeah, it has its own economy. Really.
No, it is. Like we said with trading, you know, it'd be like you trade cards, you'd be like, I'll trade you these two. How much is that worth? Oh, that's $6. How about I throw in this and you throw in that?
Which can be really fun if you get into
it. Depends who you're trading with. I've had some bad trades, and it actually has sort of burnt me a little on trading. I don't like trading a lot.
Yeah, that is something that as I've gotten older too, that I'm less, because I'm much more like, I paid for these things. Why would I want to trade it?
Yeah, it makes it. But the biggest thing, like we've always said constantly, is having good friends to play the game with. Like, for example, Magic Gathering. My brother got into it with me in this, and it just becomes so nice to have we share our collection, and we're really fine. Like with EDH, we use proxy of cards if we own one copy, because why should we buy another if we have it?
Yeah.
Because instead of just switching it back and forth, which I actually used to do. So it's nice, like, I got this card. Awesome. I'll use it in my decks now and stuff. And, like, for Marvel Dice Masters, we both got it, and we have a bunch of packs between us. So really, like, one of the things we want to try doing is a draft when we just put all our cards together, and people can just pick and choose.
Yeah.
And it's fun to have, like, these friends, like, when you can sort of share a collection. And it's the same thing with board games. And that's what's, I think, the best part you can get out of a collectible trading card game. Is some people you can really trust, where you all have your collection together and you make like a Magic Gathering, the cubes, whatever. There's like so many different play styles. Or in the Dice Masters, we share that. You know, that's where the best of it. Because then the randomness, you take out the randomness a lot. You take out the expensive with singles. I'm still messing up all these words this podcast.
Signals.
Give me the signals.
But, yeah. But you know what you're right. That was beautiful.
So that's one thing that trading card games will always have up on the living card game, because it's easier to be like, let's pool our collection together, let's pool our resources.
Right.
It's definitely, these games thrive on the community.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes them so strong compared to the rest. I mean, there's a reason why there's Friday Night Magic, the Magic community, the Yu-Gi-Oh community. These are we all band together for our game.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely make or break. If people, like, more so than, I guess you could say that of any product, really.
Well, you can see even with the games that aren't made, like Doomtown, before, people were still having tournaments for.
Yeah.
These games are,
And part of that, too, is also their marketing push of it. So it's definitely also a big thing for the publishers to really put it out there and let people know we're having these tournaments, we're having these Magic Nights, and that helps to keep it alive as well.
Yeah, and there is something about it, because like you think, I'm a Magic player. Like, you play, it's like it's part of you. It's your allegiance. Like that's something really important to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like following the pros and stuff, the amazing prize, rewards at all tournaments.
So let us know what your trading card animals familiar is. Your
inner trading card beast.
What are you guys into out there? We want to know. Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or something we didn't even mention. We would love to hear about it, because we're interested, and maybe we'll try and sink some of our money into it.
Not likely.
Not likely. Not bloody likely.
I've already made the mistake of going to Dice Masters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've gone down another rabbit hole. But anyway, or if you just think collectible card games as a whole system are worthless, or whatever you think.
How they're going to stack up now with living card games.
Yes, what your secret is that you're going to... That's cute. That will overtake Magic. Anyway, You can tell us all of that by leaving a comment on the YouTube video below, or you can write to us. Our email address is rollforcrit@gmail.com.
Now, if you just want to say a little small blurb, I don't know, maybe 140 characters, you can always tweet us at rollforcrit, as well as our personal Twitters at Dorikiryu,
at Quentz, and at Ivan Arhan, behind some cameras somewhere. And of course, you can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/rollforcrit, or check out all 2 of the news stories we covered today, plus lots more throughout the week.
Which we'd love to hear your opinions on those as well. These are big things.
Definitely. And if you want to check out any of the games we mentioned on the show, like any Asmodee, Days of Wonder, Magic, lots of other stuff, we have them for sale at rollforcrit.com. Also got some fun new releases in last week.
Well, it depends when they're watching this from now.
Last week. I'm just going with the current when this is being released. Last week. Alien Encounters, the legendary game, and lots of other really fun stuff, new D&D stuff. So check it all out, please. We would love it if you did.
Well, I think that sums it up for this week.
It sure does. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and this has been another Roll for Crit podcast.